Are you pumped for this one?
Yeah, I'm always pumped just to fight, period. But to come back to the garden and get to do my wrongs right, you know, I'm excited about that.
This has got to be one of the best prelim fights ever, right? Like, what was the situation with the fight getting bumped down? Were you disappointed with that?
Doesn't matter. Unless I'm the main event, I don't get any more money. So I could be the very first fight. We could fight in the alley somewhere. I don't care. As long as I get paid the same and I get the same benefits out of it, it really doesn't matter to me.
You came to MMA a little comparatively late after being an amazing wrestler. Do you feel you're progressing a lot? You've shown some great victories in recent times. Do you feel like you're getting better all the time?
100%. I'm still getting better. I'm going to continue to get better. And the moment I feel like I'm not getting better, that's when I walk away from it. You know, if I've got to the point where I'm not learning anything else, I'm not growing anymore, I'm in the same spot, I'm in a standstill, getting caught in the same dumb stuff or can't figure out something, it's time to walk away. There's no more progressing. My mind has closed off, and this old dog is done learning new tricks.
Well, you call yourself an old dog, but in many ways you're kind of fresh blood in this division. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Does it feel like you guys potentially, you know, both of you could be there to freshen the division up? I mean, whoever wins this fight is right in there.
Yeah, well, when I say old dog, I don't mean now. I mean at the time. When the time I stopped learning stuff, hopefully I'm older. You know, I'm ready to walk away. But yeah, in the sense of being fresh blood, 100%, especially Johnny, he's new, only got 3 fights. Technically, this is my 14th fight. I've been in the game since I started in 2014. I was in the UFC in 2014, you know. Did the Ultimate Fighter, and I was here quick. So I started my career here with 3 fights only. And I plan to stay here. But now I'm at the point where I'm starting to learn things now as a vet. And I'm growing into myself as a fighter, more understanding things. And yeah, now it's like I'm fresh blood because I'm bringing more to the table that I never brought before. I've progressed and learned so much more, so I'm ready to bring all that into the cage.
One of the pieces going around about you is at the moment is that you spoke to the top brass at the UFC and they told you that you didn't move the needle. I mean, that must have been kind of frustrating, but do you feel that a big win here on this stage is kind of a changing point for you, maybe?
Maybe. Like you said, maybe. It definitely, it frustrated me at the time, but at the same point, when you sit back and think about it, like I talked to my wife, and she said, are you surprised? You know, it's the business about making money. Back in the day, like I got in the sport because I know guys like Matt Hughes. He wrestled with me, and when I was in college, he used to come back and wrestle with us. We used to go up to Hit Squad and train, and it was like you watch those guys and you see is if you're winning, if you beat that number 1 guy, you're the number 1 guy. You know, it's just like wrestling. You beat the starter, you're now the starter. You beat the number 3, number 4, you work your way up. You beat those guys till you get the title. You know, and that's the mindset and the way I grew up in the wrestling atmosphere and knowing Matt Hughes and the different people, Matt Veach and the guys that fought in the UFC, Brian Foster, watching those guys. And when I got into it, that was the same thing. Like, if I beat the best, then I get their spot, I'll move up quicker. But since Conor McGregor and those guys and came in and they made it a marketing job, you know, it ain't so much you can go out there and win dominant, but if you don't have the people behind you, they're not going to make you fight for the title. Just like the Black Beast, he went out there and said his balls was hot. To this day, that's the funniest interview, the funniest post interview out there. And his following grew up like a 1-something million overnight. And next thing you know, they announced 2 days later, he's getting a title shot because people wanted to see him. He's hot. They struck while the iron was hot. And, you know, can't be mad at it. You just got to start thinking the business mindset. I got a business degree, so I got to understand that. I can't think of it as just an athlete and a fighter. I need to think of it as a businessman now. So it's time to play business.
I was interested to hear Ben Askren, you know, come from a wrestling background as well, so he doesn't actually love MMA. You know, he's a guy you've trained with as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that way about MMA versus wrestling, or do you love them both? How do you feel about it?
I'm a little different than Ben. You know, Ben loves wrestling. I love wrestling too, but I love MMA. I love anything that's one-on-one. You know, it's just like a job. When I did work in the working field, I loved it because I was a supervisor for the terminal. I was a manager, whatever, but every week we had to compare our scores with the other regional managers and stuff and make sure. So for me, it was always a competition. I don't like team sports. I don't like depending on 10 other guys or 4 other guys to win something. I know it's me because at the end of the day, I can only blame myself. So MMA to me is the same way. You know, at the end of the day, I can only blame myself. Yeah, it's nerve-wracking, getting ready for the fight, this and this. You got your nerves, you got your jitters, the thoughts, the negative thoughts, the positive thoughts, the highs, the lows. When you get into the cage, none of that matters. We here now. It's game time, and I love it. You know, I don't know if I can say if it's that I love the process, the learning process of growing in it more, or stepping in the cage and dominating another man and just imposing your will. Or if you lose, you're learning from that. You know, you're constantly building and growing. Every day, if it's a win or a loss, a punch or a kick, a knockout or a submission, whether you got or ended up on the bad end, you're learning something and you can take it into your everyday life.
Do you feel similarly about hunting in a way?
100%. That's why I'm a big hunter. After the OSP fight, last time I fought in the garden actually, is when I got really big into hunting. I hunted my whole life. You know, it's always just been something, a hobby to do in spare time. But after getting knocked out by OSP second time in a row, coaches told me, get away from the gym. We don't want you doing nothing about the gym the rest of the year. Take your mind off of it, find something else. So I got my bow and tree stand. And while I was in that tree, the same thing. If I don't get this deer, if I don't kill my harvest, whatever, there's nobody to blame but myself. I didn't scent myself correctly. I didn't hang my blind right. I came in making too much noise. And every time you go into the woods, you learn something different. Sometimes I creep in well and you see a bunch of deer come in. Sometimes I rush in and you'll see the deer taking off before you get to the tree stand and you realize you don't see nothing all day. And every time it's like a mental note. Next time I know, come in a little quieter. Get in a little earlier, climb that tree a little quieter, get up there with better camo, scent myself better, shower a little sooner, shower a little later. So it's always learning. And as a person like my father always told me, anything you learn in life is yours. Once you hear it, once you see it, once you learn it, it's stuck between these two things for the rest of your life. Whether you choose to use it or not, that's on you. And that's something that's just always stuck with me because I'm a guy that I always want to learn. I want to be a white belt mentality my entire life. Until the day I pass, I want to say, I learned this. On my deathbed, I want to say, oh, I learned this the other day. And then tomorrow I could be gone. But guess what? I learned until the day I left. I never want to be the person to say, oh, you can't teach me anything, because that's the guy that never progresses and never grows.
Interesting to hear you talk about it. I think I enjoyed hearing you on Joe Rogan as well. Did you get more people opening up to you after that and understanding what you're about?
Oh, 100%. The Joe Rogan podcast, like I said, I tell everybody, I went on there thinking, oh, Joe's the guy at UFC. I always wanted to sit there and chat and hang with him and talk about hunting, but it ended up coming out to be more. It opened up so many more doors for me. People are like, man, that's so crazy. You went on there and said this. Like, literally, I was there just rapping back and forth with somebody I consider like a friend from the UFC. I didn't think of, like, it would open all these doors and all the hunting industry. I have more sponsors and supporters in the hunting industry than I have fighting right now, which is crazy. I went from like 40,000 followers to 50-something thousand, and I'm constantly growing, but it's mostly hunters, hunting companies reaching out to me. Like I said, I have my own YouTube show. I told you that before, and now I got like so many partners. And then I ended up marrying into a hunting family. My wife's uncle is the creator of the best tree stand ever was made. And so it's kind of like my life is just, the doors are steady opening. And people find out I'm married to her in the relationship and they calling me and reaching out email. It's great. I love it. Like I said, I'm always learning something though.
I just want to get this back to Walker for a second. He's not really been in those deep waters in the UFC. You know, he's had emphatic finishes. A lot of people think that might be what he's going to face with you. Do you feel that way, that you're going to take him to a place that's not comfortable for him?
100%. If you know my fights, you see it. Oh, you're a decision machine. You call it a decision machine. It's called, I'm a shark. You know, I'm not out there looking for the quick finish. If it comes, it comes. I had 2 of them in the UFC, and I had 3 prior to that before getting the UFC. But I'm out there to fight, you know, and I know the longer the fight goes, the better it is for me. There's nobody in the 205 division with the cardio, the tenacity, the will, and the hustle that I have. So you might get me in the first round. That's fine. I weather the storm. You better put me away in the first, because in the second and third, it's going to be hell. And especially now with time, I done learned to stay more focused with my hands up and focus here. I can see what's coming on, eyes on at all times. So it's less likely for me to get caught in those later rounds.
Do you think Jones is going to stick around and defend? And do you think you're the toughest fight for him in this division?
I mean, as for Jones right now, that's not even a thought in my mind. What he does, that's his job. I got a job to worry about Saturday. After Saturday, I get back to thinking on all that. But as for right now, I think I'm the toughest fight for anybody. But I'm not going to put a name behind anything or anyone except for Johnny Walker.